Welcome to Fairfield Public Access Television. I'm Susan Kessel, and we're trying something new here today. We're going to start a little mini-series. I'm doing this with my husband, Patrick Kessel. I've talked him into this. As you noticed, he doesn't have his apron on, so...
She didn't talk me into the apron.
And the reason we're wearing our aprons is we're talking about Gourmet A'LA Fairfield. And the Chamber of Commerce Christmas Committee and Holiday Light Committee sells these aprons, which says Gourmet A'LA Fairfield, Bon Appetit. And the money goes for the Christmas lights. They are available in all different colors. We hope that businesses will purchase them and they can put their name across the top and promote the great food in Fairfield. And our series, Gourmet A'LA Fairfield. Patrick, thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love to get out and taste all the different foods in Fairfield. We're with Luke and Regina today.
And Regina, usually you don't see Regina. She's out in the kitchen, and we know the name Regina in Fairfield. But you know what? I realized I don't even know your last name.
Right now is Sampieri. It's Northern Italian. Soon will be Woodard because I'm getting married in August.
Yes. Maybe you could change to her name. It sounds more foodie.
Sounds better.
Well, Regina, you've got quite a reputation in Fairfield and the Midwest, I think, for your wonderful food. You told me a story the other day of how you came to Fairfield. Your mother's here in town.
Right. She's been here for, I want to say 8 years or so. And, we'd come to visit for holidays, Christmas or Easter, etc., birthdays. And whenever we would come to Fairfield to visit, we were always looking for somewhere to eat out, and we're limited on places to eat that are not buffet. Buffets are super, but if you're looking for the dining experience, coming in, having somebody wait on you, a menu that changes, so you're not always tired of the same thing, we were hard pressed to find that. So my mom's been trying to get us to come out here for a long time, and it's my passion, and we just decided to move here and be close to my family.
And you said that you actually came to this restaurant with your mother and ate, and I remember, what was its name then?
The West End Cafe.
West End Cafe. And it had been something else before that.
I think it's been 3 or 4 restaurants.
Yeah, Benissimo's, I think it was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And it's always...
The Noodle House was here too.
Yeah, the Noodle House originally was here too, yeah.
And so you came here and you ate, and you said you looked around and thought, wow, this place has some possibilities.
I think the space is gorgeous. It reminds me of a lot of restaurants you'd find in a big city that are in old buildings. I think this building is from the 1800s, and it's got a lot of charm and character to it, and it just was, for me, it felt like very comfortable and like a restaurant that I would like to have.
We should mention that this is in the old Louden Building at 607 West Broadway on the main floor. And Pat and I were just in Chicago, and remember the restaurant that we ate at that I said, oh, this reminds me of Regina's, and it was painted real wildly and had neat furniture, artistic furniture. Do you remember the name of that?
I think it was Marche's.
Marche's.
I believe.
Some friends of ours went with us, and it was just wonderful. So you've captured that.
Our friends Tim McMahon and Jane and Mike and Michelle Greiner. Hi, Doc.
We actually went to Chicago to eat at Charlie Trotter's. That's a name if anyone's into the eating experience, you'll recognize it. If not,
have many of his cookbooks. Super. I mean, he's really the master, one of the masters, I think.
Yeah, Wine Spectator magazine named him a month ago the #1 restaurant in the country. And so that was kind of, and it's based on a lot of things, not just the food, but the total experience, the wine, just the service, everything. And
I have to say it was funny for us wives to watch these 3 grown men carrying their wine spectators and asking for the autograph.
Oh, wow.
It was fun.
Excellent. I think I probably would have done the same thing, for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
For sure,
And
yeah.
put it right up here on the wall. So you captured a bit of that eating experience here in Fairfield, and it's wonderful what you've done.
Where are you from, Regina? I mean, you talk about visiting your mom, but where did you and Luke come from?
Luke and I moved here from Spokane, Washington. I was there for about 3 years.
Running a restaurant, or?
I was the executive chef of a restaurant called Luna, which is one of the top restaurants in Spokane, and ran their kitchen for them. As well, I was the general manager for a little while too, so I did a little bit of the front of the house managing, but mostly designing menus and training cooks and cooking.
And where did you fit in, Luke?
I sort of dragged him along.
I was ready for a change, and
You weren't with Luna or anything
No,
like that?
I was
You-
not.
Okay. So this is your first restaurant experience? Yeah.
Yes, my best friend was a cook of hers, and that's how we met. And
Oh.
from there, it was this magic, and here we are.
Did you cook when you were a little girl?
Yeah,
Mud
actually.
pies, probably.
We a lot of those. My mom, who I think is one of the best cooks, and she'll probably laugh when she hears that, but she's really more Irish. My father's Italian, and my mother has more Irish and German. And she did a lot of American cooking and Irish cooking and English cooking too. And we ate a lot at home. And ate, I think, probably out maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but mostly at home. And my sister and I we had the job of making a meal once a week for the family when I was in junior high. I think it was when I was in junior high. And my mom just said, here you go, use whatever's in the fridge or in the pantry and create a meal for us. And
Kind of like the cooking show that you watch.
Ready, set, cook.
Yes.
Right.
I love it when he does that at home.
And I think that's what got me going. We used to do a lot of baking too when I was younger. For holidays, we would bake cookies and fudge and send it to our relatives. And so my mom's definitely was the influence for me.
Now, your mother was here when you first started and helped. Is she still here?
She still is. She's actually teaching. She teaches at Fairfield High School right now during the days. But then
Teaches cooking?
No, well, she's an aide right now, and so one of the classes that she aides for is a cooking class.
Oh,
So,
great.
and she elected me to go and give a little speech at the cooking class at Fairfield High School, which was a lot of fun.
nice.
Yeah.
Now, where do you start when you want to be a good chef? Do you go to school?
Yeah, did you learn at Luna's, or did you have a training before that?
It's been there. I think that when you ask where you learn, I've trained in several different places, but I think that school is a must for somebody who wants to be an executive chef for a big restaurant or for a hotel or something like that. It gives you all of the basics that you need, whether it be just a small culinary program at a junior college or CIA in New York, which is one of the top schools in the country. It gives you that food handling, everything you need to know for health codes, what temperatures, what's medium rare, what's medium, things like that, how to clean a fish or
Little of
chicken, or
everything.
just it touches on all the basics.
What about?
I could go teach him how to catch a fish.
What about? Now, I used to do most of the cooking at home, and I've kind of gotten away from that in the last few years. And Pat has taken up cooking, and he's very good, and he's very creative. I usually have to clean up, but one of the things I know that he has a problem with, that I have a problem with, is when you're preparing a meal to get everything to come out at the same time, right?
Right.
That
I think just takes
practice.
a lot of practice. Catering that's the big thing. with catering, because if you're doing a wedding, like this weekend we're doing a wedding, which my mom is helping me with, which is super, but it's for about 150 people.
So that won't be here.
No, this is in Keosauqua at the lodge. We do a lot of catering out of the restaurant as well as in here. But for something like that, you need to make sure that everything is ready at the same time, because you have 150 people that are all wanting to eat right now.
That amazes
it has to be
me.
hot. Yeah.
Personally, I don't know how she does it.
I have a lot of help, actually. It's more the directing of the staff, I think, that brings it all together, because the restaurant is only as good as the people that work there.
Now that lodge out there, does it have a kitchen?
Not really. It has a small kitchen area that has just a stove top, so there's no oven.
So you prepare things before you...
Here,
yeah,
right.
Okay.
Here.
Her dad helped build that lodge.
It's beautiful.
Actually.
What lodge?
Oh, it's in Lacey Keosauqua Park. I think it had something to do with the CCC camps or whatever he used to call those things.
Right.
So I've stopped and looked in there, and I've seen it, because somebody told me once that you've been there before, and I thought, gosh, how would you keep things warm, cold, all of that, and take it to Keosauqua? So
catering's a whole different thing. There's special transports. There are Cambro containers where you can slide in hotel pants, and probably shouldn't use those words because most people won't know what that is, but the type of containers that we use that hold things at a certain temperature, either cold or hot, and then you use chafing dishes to keep things warm as people come through. And there's a stovetop, so if you need to do any sauces or cook vegetables or boil water, anything like that, you can do that there. And there's a small fridge, a lot of counter space. But
how many cooks work here with you?
We have for lunchtime we have 2 line cooks, and then
in addition to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless I'm one of the line cooks, if someone's sick or can't make it that day, then there's just the 2 of us. And dinner, it's the same too. And then we'll have a 3rd person who's more of a kind of behind the scenes prepper. They'll cut vegetables and run things to us if we need it, but they're not actually on the broiler or the stove.
Now, Luke, you're Regina's partner, but I know you said you don't cook. Your part of it is the business management of the restaurant?
Yeah, I mostly do the front of the restaurant. I'm in charge of the waitresses, or waiters, I guess.
Waitstaff.
Waitstaff,
yes.
Which I noticed the other day when we were talking, you were saying that you had someone in town that was teaching them to be more professional.
Yeah, Tony. He's had probably 15 years of experience, and you could say, is a professional waiter. He knows the ins and outs of wine, what goes well with what dishes as far as wine, appetizers to complement, main entrees, and he's kind of passing that knowledge to some of our servers here, which has been a challenging thing, you could say, because most of our waitstaff have never waited tables before.
Right. Fairfield's kind of it's a small town, and it's hard to find people that are in this profession, especially when there's not a lot of restaurants that you can.
It's just something to do until you're going on to do something else.
Right. In high school or while you're going through college, and it's difficult to find professional waitstaff that are 40 or 50 years old, have been doing it all their lives, which if you go to, I mean, I don't know if at Charlie Trotter's, if you had probably your server was a little bit older and
very
wiser.
Attentive
and
extremely. They beyond attentive, they anticipate.
The napkins that Tim McMahon, every time he moved and this napkin went on the floor, or he got up, which he got up a lot because we sat in the kitchen, which is one table in the kitchen, kind of an honor type thing.
You have to wait for a long time
like
to
6 months
that.
to get that.
Right,
get there.
Can you imagine waiting 6 months to eat in the kitchen?
And attentive, every time Tim moved and lost his napkin, they'd bring him a new one and just slip it on there, so you hardly even noticed it. And I think he had the record.
I'm sure he
for
might have, yeah.
lost napkins.
I know he got a free meal because he set the record.
Yeah, he wishes.
I think that's what we're shooting for, though, is to give good service without over service, and there's a fine line.
Without being stuffy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
Or in the way.
in the way or bothersome to the table, because a lot of times people are here on a date or business meeting, or you just really wanting to enjoy your food and wine and atmosphere and enjoy the person that you're with, rather and not be bothered by this person who's nagging and always behind you and asking you questions. And I mean, it's important to make sure that the food is acceptable and that they're enjoying themselves, that they don't need more water or bread or wine.
It's kind of like when you're shopping for clothes. You like someone to be there if you need something, but otherwise you don't want them.
Right. It's your time. Yeah.
So your menu, obviously you're the chef, you design it, but you and I were talking earlier, and you told me that Luke has a lot of input there too. And I have your lunch and dinner menu both here, and
how do you figure out what you're going to have?
Well, we try and change the menu 3 or 4 times a year. So we try and do it with the seasons. It doesn't always work out that way for one reason or another, but the product that's available to you during the year changes. So that has to do with the purveyors that we get food from. If they say, right now this is out of season, but we can get this, which is really great, then we might put that on our menu. Everybody gets tired of eating the same thing, and that's important for us to keep me interested in making the food, keep our cooks interested in cooking what they're, cooking the food that they're making, and also the guests that are coming in. It's really important so that they can get excited again. It's sort of having a new restaurant again.
Right.
And it just depends. I think a lot of times I'll either watch a cooking show and I'll see somebody making something, that could be neat. We might put a little bit of that into a dish.
So are these your creations?
Uh-huh.
Your original creations? That's neat.
Well, I think I have to give some credit to the people that taught me, though. I mean, I would say 2 major people taught me most of what I know. And the first would be, I worked in a restaurant for about 7 years in Southern California. It's called Manja Manja, run by 2 Sicilian brothers, Giuseppe and Pietro. And I didn't speak very much English at all when I first started working there. It was this little teeny hole-in-the-wall restaurant, which since then it's been open for, I guess, about 15 years or so. And they've expanded, and it's fantastic. Best Italian food I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just have, spaghetti marinara, it's just perfect.
Pasta's cooked al dente on the
perfect.
spot.
Everything is just this light sauces, fresh ingredients, the best.
Now your menu leans a little towards Italian.
I think
I do a little of everything.
Yeah, I love Italian food, I love French food, I love Japanese food, I love Thai food. Asian food is really, for me, is very exciting, but I don't want to, sometimes I'll lean a little bit more towards the Italian and pastas, and then at other times I'll want to, put a French dish on there. My brother-in-law's French. I studied in the south of France for a little while too with his mom.
Where?
So in Pau, which is right near the border of France and Spain, right near the Pyrenees Mountains. And Annick was her name. She's a chef and has this fantastic little bistro in her home, in the chateau that she has. And she makes foie gras. I learned how to make foie gras with her, which is an incredible experience. And they also make wines. They're very organic wines, but the whole experience was fantastic. My sister was studying there when I was studying in Switzerland too. I went to LAS in Lausanne in Switzerland and studied there for a little while, and then my sister was going to the University of Pau, and so then I moved down and lived with them at their place and studied with her for a little while. And my sister ended up marrying the son, so he's now my brother-in-law, who's a fantastic maitre d' at one of the best French restaurants in California now.
Oh.
We imported him to California back with us when we left. So
do you think you'll get him to Fairfield?
we've been trying.
We're hoping.
He visited here not too long ago and
I
just
did see your sister because I
yeah.
thought, well, that looks like Regina. but there's Regina. So.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your attitude on eating in Fairfield, in that you like to have so many places to eat. You encourage. You're not competing.
I think the more the better. Whenever a new restaurant opens up or a new owner takes over a restaurant, it makes everybody excited about going out to eat again. And I think it increases everyone's business rather than, and that's just when we were in Spokane, that there are always new restaurants opening up in Spokane, and that it just always happened that way.
Right.
A new restaurant, we'd get excited, we'd go there, and usually the people that are opening the restaurant, or you become friends with them, and can share stories, and
I think when you're good, you don't mind good competition.
For sure. It makes the quality of the food and service go up for everyone, because we better really kind of make sure that we're doing this right. I mean, I think it's positive. It's not negative at all.
Yes,
It's
and
really
Fairfield does have a lot of unique and interesting and a variety of foods to eat, and Fairfield is trying to promote that international flavor of cooking, and we've talked about having a taste of Fairfield, and you actually said you were involved in something similar.
Taste of Orange County when I was in California, and Spokane had something called Pig Out in the Park, which was it was the Taste of Spokane, but that was the name of it. And all the restaurants would come down to the park and bring food. I was thinking, maybe on the square here, everybody could, bring some food, and then that way take 2 or 3 dishes that are very popular from your menu, and let a large amount of people taste that.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's always been fun.
On your menu, what is your favorite thing to make?
Boy. Oh, gosh. Depends on...
Your dinner menu.
The dinner menu. Okay.
What are you really proud of?
Boy, that's a tough question, because I don't want to single out anything. I like the lamb chops. I really like those a lot. And that's...
lamb chops.
They're
from New Zealand, is that what
Right.
I heard you say?
Right. And they have wild mushrooms with them, porcini and shiitake mushrooms. And so a lot of people don't like mushrooms here, which is okay too. But they're imported from Italy, and they're.
Have you ever been out looking for the morel mushrooms that are up right now?
I heard that they're right now is the time.
Right now. Yesterday I went out and found about 100 of them.
Oh my gosh! Really?
We'll have to share with you.
Super. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well,
Bring a few in. I'll make you a dish.
I love the way that you do the artistic presentation of your food. Like the lamb chops would be, stacked up 3 or so on
Yeah.
I think that's part of a dining experience, is
sure.
the presentation of the food.
It's half the battle.
I think, that's...
Has to look nice.
And is stacking high now is the thing, rather than spreading.
Spreading, right. But, certain dishes look better when you have a little bit of height to them, and you can play with them, different color combinations. The taste, of course, is the most important thing, because you want to make sure that you're not putting, just for the look of something, putting something on there that doesn't taste good or doesn't
Which I might do.
Well, it's all kind of trial and error, That's why whenever we change the menu, we always try things and then write a recipe, scratch it out, add a little bit more of this, let people sample and taste things, and we all sort of create that together.
What's your favorite thing to eat on the menu?
I would have to say the filet.
The filet.
I am just very fond of it. I probably eat it once or twice a week.
I was going to say, we've had friends come to town and say that your filet is like the best they've ever had.
Wow.
And when you change your menu, I know that maybe you still have the filet there, but the way you prepare it, and the things you put with it on the plate, the sauce and things, you change that all the time. I really enjoy on the appetizers, the Calamari Luciana, and that's. My son and I recently came in and had that, and it was great.
Thank you.
That's one of my favorites. And then the other day, I brought some some business people here with me, and they had a couple of your pastas, and both of them raved. One of them was the sautéed eggplant, and the other was the linguine with the calamari. So.
Those all go back to Giuseppe and Pietro, who taught me everything I know about Italian food, for sure. and then some. A lot of the sauces on there, that the Beurre Blanc sauces would go back to Annick in France, because she taught me how to make the classic Beurre Blanc sauces.
Would you say you're real strong in sauces? Do you really know sauces well?
It'd be my favorite. If I had to go and work for another restaurant now and be a cook or a chef or whatever, that would be the station that I would prefer most, a saucier or sauté. I prefer cooking with pans rather than grilling. I think I'm stronger at that. Without making a sauce break or get, there's a fine line when you're reducing something. If you reduce it too much, it can break and separate and get bad. And
then you got to know what to do when
That's
it
been
breaks
my
to how to fix it.
experience.
That's right.
Right.
I read these books because cooking is really just chemistry and
Right.
things like that, and
Extremely.
it's so interesting to read, like, if such and such happens, then what you add or take away to
fix it.
Yeah.
The thing I love about Regina when she cooks is she knows how to balance the acid, the spices,
Right.
to
Well,
make it all come together where, I've been to restaurants in the past and it might be too acidic or, too spicy and it doesn't mesh, but Regina, I think...
I'm big on
just-
a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of spicy and a little,
One brings out the other,
Right.
and
not
So
overpowering.
what didn't make it on the menu this time? Did you have some dish that you just loved and Luke says, look, nobody's going to like that?
What did we try? I think this last menu, actually, most of the things came out pretty good. I've had a few salad dressings that were just too weird or too...
Like what?
The yogurt dressing that was on the last menu was not
But
very
then
popular.
some people miss it, I mean,
you can't win
it goes in
sometimes.
stages.
It's hard. It's hard. I can serve the pasta with the eggplant to one table and they'll love it, and then right across the way somebody else will have it and they'll just say, this isn't. So it really depends on the person's taste, and it's hard to read, but most of the people that come in here are repeat guests, and so we know what they like or what they don't like. Somebody's sensitive to spice, or somebody likes their chicken cooked really, really well done, or so we try and accommodate them, or leave the garlic out of something, because 90% of this menu the garlic can be left out of if someone was sensitive to that, or onion, or mushroom, or what there are a lot of people that come in and want to eat Ayurvedic food and can't. They have a sensitive stomach, so they don't want to eat something that's too spicy or too garlicky or rich.
That's why they make Prilosec.
So it's running a restaurant it's very challenging because there are so many different kinds of people, especially in Fairfield, because Fairfield is
They're
they're
vegan and they're...
right. People that can't have any cream, dairy, any butter, any kind of dairy products, which is challenging.
And then people that come in and want their meat and potatoes.
Right, meat and potatoes, and their
Oh.
A1 steak sauce, and that's what
And
they want.
ice in their water. That's me. I always say, I want ice
Ice
in
in
my
the water. Right.
Yeah, I thought that was the weirdest thing when we moved here. I'd have to say that,
Yeah.
no ice in the water.
Right.
I'm used to it now, and I'd hate to say we don't serve it that way, but it was
I think it's
different.
nice because you cater to everyone,
Yeah.
everyone's desires, whether they want that or not. And
Like once I noticed the Regina salad had the red onions in it. All of a sudden they disappeared because you said so many of them got sent back
Right.
with the, why waste
Onions on the side, or no
Right.
onions, and people,
Right.
yeah.
And so last time I was here, I just said, I'll take some onions. Of course, I got, I think, almost all the onions that were in the kitchen that night. But
and he couldn't eat them, and he suffered later.
yeah, Susie says, you got to eat all those now. And then I did have to go take my Prilosec.
Talking about Regina salad, that has got to be my favorite, and I'm eating here tonight for a meeting, and I'm going to just have the Regina salad because I love it.
Yeah, it's
That's
the
gotta be-
baby greens and the gorgonzola, which is a blue cheese, the craisins, and
Which are
walnuts.
cranberry raisins.
Right.
Right.
like
When we
raisins,
first
yeah.
posted our menu before we opened, somebody stopped by to let me know that there was a typo.
Typo, yeah.
And that the raisins was spelled wrong.
It was more than one person.
Yeah. And so I explained, it's a craisin, which is a cranberry raisin. It's a dried cranberry. And oh, okay, So, I don't know. I think that would have to go back to Luna in Spokane. That was a salad that we created there with the the owners, Marcia and William Bond, who are fantastic people and taught me.
And it has
So
wonderful sugared nuts in it.
Caramelized walnuts, yeah.
Yes.
And when you're making a dish up, do you? I know you have a wine list, and do you take into account in your sauces? Do you have wine that would complement wine with your meal, or?
Depending on the dish, sometimes we'll cook with. We have a Cabernet reduction. That the rosemary chicken's made with a Cabernet reduction, and that makes it a little bit sweet. It gives it that sort of sweet flavor with the rosemary and the artichoke hearts, and then the Kalamata olives, which are very strong, kind of a vinegary flavor. And it's all there. You know, there's the old rule of, you know, you should have white wine with chicken and fish, and red wine with beef, and not, you don't always have to follow that. It's a good basic rule, but we have people that will come in and order a steak, and they want a Riesling, which is sweet white wine, and that's just what they want.
That's what they want. That's the way they should drink it.
Yeah.
So you have developed the attitude with your dining by putting the glasses on the table of wine is a part of the dining food experience.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a fun thing since we've been opened. When we first opened, you know, a lot of people in this town didn't really want to drink wine,
Right.
and it's been an educational process to teach people
I think
about
it's just
food
part of the
and
meal,
wine.
for me anyway. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to sit here and throw back 2 bottles of wine and get, you know,
Right.
weird and walk home. But
It's very European to
right.
have wine with your meal.
Right. When I lived in France and Switzerland both, I mean, we had wine for lunch and dinner, and sometimes even before that. And it wasn't, you know, in excess, but it's
Well, it
just
brings out
it's
the
part
taste
of
in food.
right. It's part
Right.
of part of the whole food
Our
experience.
daughter was just in France, and she got to experience that.
Yes. And it's they share it with everybody. They don't card you at the kitchen table.
Right.
It's just part of eating there.
Right. The whole family.
That's right.
Yeah.
As far as the wine list,
Yeah. How many bottles? How many different wines do you have?
you know, I have not counted for a while. I think we have about 60, and I have probably 10, maybe 15 bottles in the cellar that I have not put on the wine list yet.
Waiting.
So 50 different wines. Wow.
Sorry about that.
We're trying to hit 100.
And you don't have them all listed here?
No.
No.
No, I didn't think so.
We're trying to hit 150 by wintertime, and then we're going to shoot for 200 by next summer is our goal.
Wow.
We try and add, you know, we sample a lot every week when our wine purveyor comes in, and he brings us different samples, something that he thinks is really great, and we'll try and add 1 or 2 a week if we can, and then just hold them if they're not ready to go, or if they're ready to go, put them on the list immediately.
I know that Pat has some friends if you ever need some suggestions.
Oh yeah, they
would be-
bring in plenty of wine for us to try.
More than happy to help you out. So you do have a cellar now?
Yes. You know, it's been just a fun thing. Wine is just one of those things you can never know everything about it.
The more you know, the more you
Yes.
realize you don't know.
There's so much
At
to
least
it.
for
Right.
me, anyway. It's, but it'll be something that we'll always be interested in until
Yes.
we die, probably.
That's another show that I hope that Pat and I can do. Is we have a friend in Fairfield that has started a vineyard, and we hope that we can go visit that for another show.
It'll be fun.
Be super.
Yeah, along the wine line.
As far as the wine list, Regina and I are trying to get quite a few bottles that are under $20, so
Right.
people can start to get educated in this town and
Enjoy without
enjoying and not
having to
feeling
spend
like
too much
they're. I mean, wine is expensive. I mean, there's bottles
can
out
be
there
really
that,
expensive.
you know, that cost quite a bit.
Yes, I know
Everything
on
else.
Charlie Trotter's wine list, which I can't imagine. You looked at it, and we visited his 2 cellars.
You had a wine book. It just
Yeah.
went on and on.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were $1,000 bottles of wine there.
Right.
Yeah. Which we didn't have.
You didn't?
We did not. I would put my foot down at that.
Had a few that are pretty good, but it's one day I'll buy the $1,000 bottle just for the
Yes.
experience of having it. one day, one of these days.
I like to, the Wine Spectator magazine, it'll talk about a certain grape variety like Pinot Noir,
Right.
and then it'll do a whole menu in that issue, like what to cook and to have to showcase that bottle of wine. So on occasion I like to do that. And
Make a meal based around the wine that you're drinking. Yeah.
If it's a special bottle.
For sure.
Something that the Art Association has talked to you about is having a cooking class, and along the lines of promoting the cooking in Fairfield, and you've agreed to do that. We just need to get our schedules together.
Right. Find the time, find the space.
Right. What is something that you would anticipate teaching?
Oh boy. Well, the classes that I've done in the past have been a series that start off with some starters, such as making of salad dressings, things like that, which I'm happy to do. I love to make salad dressings. I don't use any bottled salad dressings. I'm really anti that. Starting off with that, different types of salads, different types of things that go on salads, because I like to put a lot of things on salads. Appetizers, go through different types of appetizers, and starting off showing people the correct way to cut something so that they don't cut themselves.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Which is really important. Selecting, why you should select a certain type of tomato and what makes it good, and
Maybe like the use of a mandolin.
Right, use of a mandolin.
Yeah,
Which I got Pat for her birthday or Christmas.
which is another way to cut yourself.
Right,
I found
you have to be very
wonderful
careful.
tool.
Right. Yeah, they sell it. Do you have the glove that goes with it? The metal glove?
No.
They
he
sell a
needs
metal
that.
glove that goes
Yeah.
with the mandolin, so that if you do slip, it'll stop your hand from, sort of like that old Knights of the Round Table
Yeah.
armor, that light kind
He
of
needs
mesh.
a whole armor.
But and then I don't know. I thought maybe we could go into then a main dish, different types of pastas and sauces if people wanted to try.
That reminds me about the
Yeah.
pasta. Is that penne pasta or pen?
Penne is how they would pronounce
okay.
it in Italy.
Okay. That's always, I was pretty sure that was it, but all of a sudden you said that and I wondered. So sorry.
No, that's okay.
Now, where did you teach before?
We did some teaching through the restaurant Luna back in Spokane. That was through the restaurant. We had a really nice expedition kitchen, so we'd have people come in. It was huge, and we'd have 15 or 20 people watching and actually working with us. And then we'd make a meal and we'd all eat and have some wine with it afterwards.
That sounds like fun.
And then I did some private cooking for a couple that own another restaurant back in Spokane too. But it was mostly that was just for husband and wife.
Now, I wandered back in your kitchen before we started, and there's not any room for all of us to be back there, and it wouldn't be the place to do the show, but how many burners are back there?
It's a 10-burner stove.
Yeah?
With two ovens, 10 burners, and then
6-burner grill.
so the 6-burner grill.
And then
Yeah.
and the grill separately. yeah.
Right.
Now, you recently remodeled it, and I peeked back there too because you said you didn't feel comfortable with us going back there.
Right.
And you enlarged it.
Right.
And
It's still
I
pretty
can't
small.
imagine how small it was before you enlarged it and how you created all these wonderful meals.
When we first started, we had 4 burners and 1 oven, and that was it.
And we cooked together too.
And we did cook together for a few days, and that was about it.
I understand.
Until she chased you around with the mandolin.
Yes. But it can be very. I mean, the kitchens are hot. They're hard places to work. They're fun places to work. I love working in the kitchen. I'd much rather be back there than out here, I have to say. And that's why you don't see me often out here, because I was a server for probably 6 years when I was going through college, and it's hard work. It's extremely hard work. I love the social aspect of it is really nice, but I'm an artist. I first went to art school to draw and paint, and that was my first love, and I feel like I can be creative in the kitchen.
They're related.
Yeah, oh, for sure. They have to. I think they go hand in hand.
Yes, it's a real art to be a good cook.
Yeah. And it's trial and error, like I said. It doesn't always turn out the way you wanted it to. So
Yes.
it's cooking. Food is is food. It doesn't come out of a pat. You don't push a button and it comes out. It's always a little bit different depending on the person who makes it, or how much butter fat is in the cream, depending on the cow. I mean, it really.
Humidity has a big difference with it too.
The bread, especially for bread, we're baking our own bread.
You make your own bread.
And the humidity, depending on how hot it is and what it's like back there, it can rise too much or not rise enough, and it's the same recipe that you follow every time, but it turns out differently.
Now your desserts. I know the Art Association also had a real art surreal dessert night, and your desserts are wonderful.
Thank you.
To die for.
Yeah. That's another thing I'm real big on. I don't like to buy. I mean, I won't buy desserts. I like to make them or have the kitchen staff make them.
I know one of our favorites is the creme brulee, and you have to use the torch to
order. That may take a little bit longer if you order one. So
you do it to order.
Yeah. Because if you burn the sugar, torch the sugar beforehand and then let it sit, it can get, it turns into like a soft sort of a caramel, or like a flan. If you've ever had flan, that's with it's kind of a softer caramel. It gets soft and not crispy. That's what'll happen to it as it sits.
I've never had one set. If I'm not eating it, somebody else does. So
eating it quickly.
I've never seen that happen.
My downfall is I want to cook as many things ahead as I can before the people get there, and I know that for some really good things like that, you can't do it. You have to wait to the last second.
Some things are better if you make them earlier, like the tiramisu, which is another dessert that we have. Is better, much better if you make it.
It just blends together the flavors.
Yeah. It really needs to set for at least 8 hours, I think. Because it's not soft enough, it's not blended, it's not ready.
One thing I'd like to mention is Regina does make everything from scratch. We don't have
sauces and
any prepackaged sauces or anything. It's all made
or my
from
cooks make it from scratch.
You should maybe have your own special something to sell. I know my mother worked in Los Angeles area, worked for Lori's restaurant, which made Lori's seasoning salt. So maybe someday we'll have Regina's
Cajun spices. Somebody was asking me for the recipe for that the other day, for the penne with the Cajun sauce, and we have a special spice blend that we make for that dish. I thought about it and thought maybe we could package it and sell it. But
I know I've been to a dinner party or two that someone says, well, this is kind of like Regina's salad. And it was close, but it just didn't have that.
Well, it didn't have probably the
dressing.
The dressing. There we go. That's what you.
we could package and sell the dressing.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be it.
So I noticed you have a lot of fish too on your menu. Obviously, we don't have king salmon around here. Where does the restaurant get that type of
That's
thing?
been really tough for us. The salmon I get 3 times a week, and that's flown in from sometimes it comes from Maine, through Maine, and there's a big fish company in Chicago that gets a lot of fish. So, but then there's another place. Most of it comes from the West Coast. Because the salmon, actually, the best salmon in the world, I don't know if anybody knows this, is from a place in Washington State, the Russian River. I don't know if anybody's, you might be familiar with wines from Russian River.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Russian River salmon is the best. Because they feed off of shrimp, and it's really, really pink and sweet. The meat is extremely pink and sweet. So if you ever have a chance to get that.
Is that what you have here?
Not now, because it's only 2 months out of the year it's available.
Oh.
So
Maybe you can have it in the newspaper, do an ad.
If I
Russian
ever
River
have
salmon.
it, it'll be a big special. So, and some of the other things are sushi grade, like the tuna, which is frozen at sea, sushi grade, so you can eat it raw, as well as the swordfish, because that's important to me. I like it. Salmon I like medium rare, but tuna and swordfish, anything hamachi like that, I like rare.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I eat it. And a lot of people here will ask for it well done, which is fine too.
In my travels, I've learned that I like fish rare or even raw, but not just like a catfish out of a pond. That isn't it. But a couple of years ago, Susie and I were in Hawaii, and some people were with us and watching me eat over several days, and they said, "Now, how does somebody from Iowa learn to eat so much raw fish?" But it's just so.
That's
so
one
beautiful
thing. I think Fairfield has a lot of people that are well traveled,
Yeah.
And they have learned to eat a lot of things that maybe the typical Iowan has not. And that helps form your tastes. And I know that they're maybe more open-minded. So that's a great thing about our community and something that we want to promote too.
Well, I'd have to say, I'd have to agree. We live in such a great town as far as, you know, the
Diversity.
variety.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for
You know,
sure.
I talk to my relatives from Spokane, and, you know, I tell them that I'm in Fairfield, Iowa, and they just can't quite picture what I tell them that our town is of.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
And food is just one of the wonderful parts of our town, and what you offer here, that's great. And in this really neat old building, historical Louden Building, and I'm glad you're staying here because the atmosphere is wonderful, and you've done a lot of changes.
Yeah.
New tables, new marble tables and chairs, and
It
even
feels very bistro-like to me.
yeah. And also, I want to mention that it's casual. You can come in jeans, and you're okay. Come in for lunch, or you can dress up.
That's the nice thing. We really wanted to go for that feel because, you know, once in a while we like to get really dressed up and go to a super nice restaurant that's the waiters are all in tuxedos, and that's nice too. But I think that the type of restaurant we wanted to have was something that's a little bit more friendly for everybody. So we get a lot of prom kids, which is nice because they get
Yes.
dressed up and they'll
Nice
come in
for
for
'em to
their,
stay
you
in
know.
town.
Yeah, so they don't have to drive so
Yeah.
far. And then we have people that come in, you know, and in their casual jeans, t-shirt, people that are in overalls, even West farmers that come in their overalls, which is great. You know, it doesn't, whatever
it
you're
is.
comfortable in, I think is.
And I know even the bathroom, you requested for a little updating of the bathroom, and it looks wonderful.
Doesn't it look
It's all
nice?
tiled
Yeah.
and gold mirror, and two
Yeah.
separate. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Finally. Yeah, that was really one of the things that we really wanted to upgrade. So, and they did that for us, which is super.
So some nice changes.
Yeah. We're always going for that's what makes our life fun, is to you challenge yourself to get new glassware or new tables or I don't know, new wines, changing the menu. So you're always working on something. You don't get bored. It's not stagnant. You know, there's
So you said pretty soon you're going to change this menu again.
yeah. The menu's gonna
And
change.
on this menu, you have everything from pork, tenderloin medallions, and again the filet mignon and king salmon and chicken, lamb chops, swordfish. What might you add for this upcoming season? Would it be the summer season as you see it?
Summer, lighter. We would like to put some things on that are a little bit lighter.
As an example.
I have a chicken dish that's going to come. It'll be a grilled chicken, and it'll have an apricot cilantro salsa that'll go on it. It'll be with apricot, cilantro, coriander, Turkish sun-dried figs, and it'll just be a nice kind of a light salsa that'll go on, which is heart healthy, and with some rice and a few vegetables. That's one of the things.
We're trying to incorporate a lot more fruit too, because it's in season.
Right, you can get
You know, it's
more fruit.
refreshing for a hot day.
Right. The tuna, which everybody's been requesting, will come back on, and that's more of a Japanese style with the coconut bananas. And I don't know if you've had it, or some people have been asking for it a lot. So we'll bring back some old favorites that a lot of our guests will ask for.
I actually have had that. And I like it.
So that was one of the real popular things, and we'd like to add that back to the menu. And I'm still working on it, so it's not all set in stone yet, but.
Yeah, this will be our 8th menu, I believe.
Menu, yeah.
Really?
And how long have you been here?
A year and 9 months, maybe?
July 6th of 98 was
Going
our
on
first
2
day
years.
open.
Yeah.
Now, the two of you are getting married, right?
Yes.
August 15th, yeah.
And everybody in Fairfield's invited?
Well, when we get back, we're going to Bermuda, actually, for the wedding, so that we have a small wedding on the beach and have the honeymoon there.
It was small.
It was small, yeah, actually. About 25 people are making the trip that we didn't think would be coming, but which is great. And then we'll have
Maybe
a big...
27.
Yeah, there we go.
Bermuda.
But we'll have a big reception when we get back, and we'd like to invite all of the people that have supported us in the community and all of our friends and family here. So We'll make lots of food and make
do
a day of
full-time.
it. Yeah.
Well, it's nice that you're going to find the time to do this, because I know that you have been trying to get away for a while.
Right, right. Well, we have, I think, the best staff that we could ever hope for, really. I have to give a compliment to the staff, because they do a fantastic job. Everybody that works here is like family for us. They work really hard, keep a positive attitude. They're always giving, you know, some input on what they can do to make it better, what we can do to make it better, and
Well, they're the ones that run the restaurant.
right, they run the restaurant, really. And
The ones that we see.
yeah. Well, and there's some people in the crew I have in the back. I haven't been this happy with the kitchen crew for a really long time, and they do a fantastic job. So if I take a night off, I don't worry about it. I really don't.
What are your hours like?
Yeah, it depends. You know, so we can be here really late at night, so we are not here super early in the morning. We usually come in between 10 and 11, and then we'll leave sometimes as late as midnight or 1 o'clock, depending on the night. So, and sometimes we try and get out for an hour or two in between when we're closed to walk the dogs.
I know my mother was in the restaurant business in Southern California, and she used to say the restaurant business is one of the hardest that there is.
Yeah,
You really have to work
yeah,
to make it work.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of people who have the glamour aspect
the
of
fantasy of opening a restaurant.
Yeah,
you know, don't really
maybe
realize
one
what-
strong point or the other, but you got to really work hard and
Right.
have them all.
Right. It's detail. You have to be very detail oriented, because it's all the little details that make things either work or not work. And sometimes you can get crazy if you see something that's just like, you know, no. If a dish goes out and it's just not right. But that's why we're constantly having meetings with the people that work here, and they don't take offense whenever we tell them, you know, this should be a little bit more this way. They're really good for constructive criticism.
we do wine tastings with our staff
Yeah,
every
also.
other week, so they come familiar and they can, you know, if our guests have any questions, they can.
That's another memory of being at Charlie Trotter's in the kitchen. There were probably at least 20 cooks, chefs in the kitchen that basically stayed in a little space working.
Right.
And Charlie would go around and look at things. And the favorite thing that you guys did was he'd go like, and look at, and you know, send things back, or say you put this dab of stuff on the wrong place and move it around, and because it was supposed to be done exactly right, and just the direction
Right.
of getting them to do it.
Right. You have to have that. I mean, it's the sort of like the conductor of the symphony. I mean, you need somebody to be there to tell people what to do.
Yes.
I have several people that are back there that have that natural ability to direct. And so I make sure that either I'm there or one of them is there to make sure that everybody else is doing their job. And it's not about trying to just tell somebody what to do or boss someone around. It's just the whole experience has to come together, you know. It's in
And
the kitchen.
smoothly
Yeah.
behind the stage, so that out here in the dining room on stage, everything appears to be magical and perfect.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of guests. I mean, you guys will come back to the back, and that's because you're excited about being back there, and you'll want to say hello to the cooks, and
Right.
you know, and that's really actually super for me and for the other cooks that are back there. It's one of the highlights when we get somebody that ventures back there and wants to, you know, say, hey, thank you so much, everything was great, and you know, I just brought this bottle from my own cellar, and I'll, you know, taste this, and you know, that's really nice. It gets the cooks are completely jazzed whenever that happens.
That's nice to know.
Back, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess I've been looking back here at the clock once in a while, because I know that you have to go back and cook.
I do.
And there've been a few more people walking in the halls, like they're wondering when they can come in.
Oh yeah. Gosh, I guess we're
So-
open in 20 minutes.
So,
I better go
so
change and
Luke,
get ready.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Regina.
My pleasure.
I would like to specify our hours, because we didn't really mention that.
Okay.
11 to 2, Monday through Friday. then 5 till 9, Monday through Saturday.
Closed on Sunday because we need a day of
You
rest.
did have a brunch one time.
We
but,
tried. It was too much for us. Sundays are a day of getting books done and
Day of
scheduling and resting, and we just need to have that one day. So
Right.
we may eventually open again because I love the
Brunch.
whole idea of doing a brunch, and
Yes,
it's
it
different
is.
and that's exciting.
Maybe
but-
special occasions.
Yeah.
And Patrick, thank you for doing this show with me.
You're welcome.
You were very good. And in case anyone's interested in the aprons, you can pick one up at the Chamber of Commerce. Gourmet.
They can have mine.
No, they can't. Gourmet A'LA Fairfield Bon Appetit. And it has a Fairfield design on it with a Fairfield square. And the hopes of promoting Fairfield as a wonderful dining experience, and especially here at Regina's.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to say thank you to all our customers too.
Sure.
It's been great.
It supports us.
And I'm thinking about having some calamari before I go look for mushrooms. So
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.